podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Blueberry.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
The Big G, Tokyo Town, StompDown.
The air is filled with anticipation as we move slowly forward to Friday and the big new release. But right now, it's the Big G Tokyo Town StompDown. I'm TC Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown. Is that what that was? Anticipation?
What?
I thought it was Axe body spray.
Oh. Ha 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 ha. It is Tuesday, May 28th, 2018. 2019. Good God, I'm a year behind. That's what you do to me. I look at you and everything, time stops. Anyway. It is
Good answer! Good
May 28th, 2019.
19.
And we are headed into the final few days
Yes.
of our 31 Days of Godzilla as
Wow.
we prepare for Friday's release of Godzilla King of the Monsters from Legendary Films, and it is going to be
Amazing!
something. The reviews have been pretty good so far.
It's going to be awesome.
And we're up to the first Godzilla film I saw in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And it was our very first visit to Cambridge's Legendary Brattle Theater.
Yep.
It was damn near sold out.
Yes,
we had
it
a
was.
hell of a time finding seats. And it was like, okay, this was cool because it came on opening weekend in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't really opened theatrically in the U.S. for a number of years.
The
But this one did.
last film I remember seeing in a theater that was a Godzilla film that actually had a big, they made a big deal about the fact that it was a Godzilla film coming to American theaters was Godzilla 1985.
Which was 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
This was the 50th anniversary of Godzilla, Gojira actually, in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And as such, this was the 50th anniversary celebration going on.
Yes.
It would also become the final Godzilla film in over 10 years, and the last until 2016 produced by Toho.
Yep.
From 2004, the Japanese, Australian, American, Chinese co-production of Godzilla Final Wars.
Like the United Nations of Kaiju.
There were a lot of people from past Godzilla films in this.
Yes.
And the litany of monsters we will get to, and other kaiju we will get to in a few minutes.
Yes.
But damn near all of them appeared, including an infamous iguana wannabe from American films.
This film
Was awesome.
is great. It is awesome. There are definitely some stand-up and cheer moments. It does harken back to other Godzilla films. It also has obvious, I don't know what the word I want to use here is, inspirations. We'll go with inspirations because saying flat out ripping off is kind of rude. You could say it borrowed heavily from the X-Men, from the Matrix, and so on and so forth.
Well, it's not like it was made in India or Turkey.
No.
Which would just blatantly rip them off without even giving them credit.
And probably use music from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh, no, wait, that was Turkey. My bad.
We should say that this was the 28th film produced by Toho, the 29th overall, and the final film in the Millennium series.
Yes.
So, there you go. Thank goodness for that. Because all the
So-
rest of the Millennium series were like, out there!
Yeah. So we're going back all the way to 1954 again, with... Do you have to?
Well, I haven't done it for a few days.
So anyway, back in 1954, when Godzilla first stomped the hell out of Japan, he wound up being trapped under the Antarctic ice by a special sub that the Japanese had. This space sub. It's like a super high tech weapon called the Gotengo. So we flash forward to, more present times as the present of the film, and all of the things that have been happening with all the environmental problems and global warming and all that crap that Al Gore's been talking about for years, have caused monsters to start attacking and resurfacing and stuff like that. And also, it's also started to push forward and leapfrog the human evolution. Because there are people out there, mutants are among us. They are actually referred to in this film as mutants. So you see, Marvel doesn't own the copyright on that term. And,
in other countries.
In other countries. They don't
It's dangerous to well, they do have the word trademarked for use in the X-Men.
That's stupid. It's a word. The word's been around.
It is, but it's not. I mean, they shouldn't be able to do that, but they do.
Anyway, so there are humans out there who have superpowers, and they're referred to as mutants. Not in the nicest way. And they are usually recruited by the EDF, which is the Earth Defense Force, and they're...
So we moved on from the Japanese Defense Force.
Well, now it's the whole Earth, because everything's all effed up. And their whole job is to battle these monsters. These monsters show up, they send these people out there to defend, Earth against them, blah, 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 blah. So, there is an updated version of the Gotengo, which is captained by, the captain's name is Douglas Gordon, and his ship winds up getting in a fight with the sea serpent Manda, but the ship winds up being wrecked because Manda is a big-ass sea serpent, and Captain Gordon winds up being suspended from the EDF because scapegoating. One of the soldiers, a mutant named Shinji Ozaki, his task is to guard a biologist named Dr. Otanashi, who has been, his job is to go study this giant mummified kaiju. So they are sent to Infant Island, where they have an encounter with the Shobijin. Yay, the Shobijin are in this movie, and I'm happy. The priestesses, or however you want to word it, of the island's goddess Mothra, who we all know already, who explain that the monster that this giant mummified corpse is a monster called Gigan, and if that name sounds familiar, give yourself a cookie, who was a cyborg alien, because of course he was, that was sent to trash Earth, but wound up being defeated all these kabillion years ago by Mothra. The Shobijin give a dire warning, because that's also something they do.
Constantly. Actually, in every movie they appear in.
Well, somebody has to, because nobody's friggin' listening.
Well, I know. They never do.
Their whole thing is that there's going to be...
Those who do not listen to history are bound to repeat it.
Yep. And usually when the Shobijin are involved, it's in stereo in really tiny voices. Their whole thing is that they're warning that there's going to be this enormous battle between the forces of good and the forces of evil that's going to be happening soon, and that Ozaki has to choose which side he falls on. So there winds up being this, big, huge monster attack. It's like somebody rang the dinner bell and all the monsters are all attacking all at once, and they're attacking all over the world in places they've never attacked before. Like, Rodan is besieging New York City, which if it's New York, they probably don't even notice. Love you, New York. You're beautiful. Don't ever change. And Goddess attacking Shanghai. Sydney, Australia drew the short straw in this movie because they are being attacked by Zilla. And those of you out there...
We'll explain it in a minute. Anyway.
Huh?
Continue the list before we explain that.
All right. Now, this one makes no sense because King Caesar, who has been a guardian monster and a good monster in other movies, is attacking Okinawa, Japan. The giant praying mantis Kamakuras is attacking Paris. You think they'd just deep fry it and serve it in one of them fancy restaurants they got over there.
Ew. Ew. Go on.
They eat frogs' legs.
Ew. Go on.
All right. Kumonga is attacking Phoenix, Arizona, because Why not? Somebody has to, I guess. Ebera, the giant crab. No, he's more of a lobster.
No, he's kind of a crab lobster mix.
Kind of a crab lobster giant shrimp. Kind of giant shrimp. That's an oxymoron. Is attacking Tokai, and we see Hedora, the smog monster, attacking somewhere, but we don't find out where it is. It's probably,
okay, back to Zilla.
It's probably New Jersey because he'd blend in there. Love you, Jersey. Don't
Los
ever
Angeles
change.
would make more sense.
Oh, Los Angeles is better.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, Los Angeles is much better. That's good.
Back to Zilla.
Love you, LA. Let's do lunch.
Zilla has not been seen in the Godzilla films before. Not the Toho films.
Nope.
Zilla was the star of the 1996 Godzilla film, produced by Roland Emmerich.
Yep.
Fans could not wait for the Big G to give him his comeuppance.
Yep.
Okay.
And we had to just side note for a minute. When Zilla appeared on screen besieging the Sydney Opera House, because somebody has to, the groan that went up from the audience, it was like, oh, not him. It was great. It was just fantastic. So, obviously, this is a very bad thing, all in caps.
And gee, I wonder what's happening with these monsters. I can't even think of what possible plot line there would be. What kind of information does our plot device have?
It's the Illuminati.
Hello.
You notice nobody attacks Boston because don't nobody F with us. Boston strong, bitches. So the EDF, naturally, that's their job. They start, trying to fight these monsters, who all of a sudden just go, boop. They all just disappear. Now, the moment they disappear, the exact same moment this happens, there's this ginormous UFO over Tokyo. Because everybody all together, of course there is. The aliens, who are called Zillions. Zillions?
Zillions.
I forget. I don't remember how it's pronounced. It's been a long time. Well, Zillions makes it sound like you're talking about a whole bunch of numbers. It's Xylians, I think. I don't remember. It starts with an X, anyway.
Exilians.
Exilians?
Just say exilians. That way it's it. You put
Let's
the X
just
in
go
front
with
of it.
those guys. Okay, so those guys show up.
Not purgatory. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't
know.
The
obligatory aliens.
The obligatory aliens. Show up, and they're all like, yeah, hi, we have some news for you, and you're not gonna like it. And Earth people are all like, we're being besieged by monsters. What the hell else could you have to tell us? And
there's a planet called Gorath that's going to crash into the Earth any day now.
Yeah. Have a nice day. Needless to say, people are definitely, in panic mode. And a pack...
Run! Freak out!
Where are you going to run to?
Panic!
It's a freaking planet crashing into your planet. Where in the hell are you going to run to? Yeah.
Poughkeepsie.
Why not? Good as any place else.
We can go to what's his name's home.
Where?
Cucamonga. He from Cucamonga.
You want to go to Kansas? The world is ending and you want to go to Kansas? Hi, Kansas. You're fabulous. Don't ever change.
I don't think Cucamonga's in Kansas.
No, I don't think it is either.
I think it's in Michigan. But anyway.
Wherever it is.
Well, yeah, anyway.
Sorry. We're going to get in so much trouble for this show.
I know.
If I could find a way to throw in Oklahoma, I would.
The sad thing is, we're kind of being derisive, but we love this film. Go ahead.
We do. We love this film. It's it's very warm in here, and I think we both have heat stroke.
No, it's not.
So
that was yesterday.
The aliens and the humans sign a pact between the two of them that they're going to be like, we'll help you and all this stuff like that. And while this is all going on, because it's not enough, Godzilla's son, and he's actually referred to in this film as Godzilla's son, okay, Minya is found in a forest by this kid and his grandfather. And he's not like a giant baby monster. That didn't come out the way I wanted it to.
He's typical Minya.
He's slightly taller than your average human.
Right.
And he's not, scarier looking or anything like that. He's actually kind of cute.
It's the same costume or a variation on it, is it not?
No, it looks better.
Okay,
I'm
anyway.
sorry, not for nothing, and I know some classic kaiju fans out there are going to want to whack me with a brick, but let's be perfectly honest and call it like we see it. The original Aminia was homely as hell. There, I said it. I'm not sorry. Anybody who tells you...
Oh, now you're being monsterist.
Anybody who tells you all babies are cute are lying.
You're being kaijuist now. That's not very nice.
So, certain people don't trust the aliens because they've seen these movies before, and those people would include Ozaki, who we've already met, another member of the team, Miyuki, and her sister Anna, and they find out from Miyuki is the doctor from earlier. I didn't give her last name, Dr. Otonashi. They find out that it's all a big lie. It's a lie. The aliens actually have been pulling all this. It's a big fat scam. The planet that was supposedly hurtling toward Earth and going to kill us all, yeah, that's not real. That was a hologram. The aliens did it. Now all those people out there with the tinfoil hats are going to be vindicated. Thank you, movie. And it also turns out that the aliens have replaced a bunch of people from the EDF with duplicates that answer to the aliens. This is a bad thing. And as it, once the news gets out there that, hey, these a-holes lied to us, the leader of the aliens, who just refers to himself as X, okay, this all gets leaked during a radio interview. He winds up, what?
Happy.
Why is that funny?
Finish.
X winds up killing his commander, and he takes over the whole deal. And as it turns out, these beings have come to Earth, and their plan is to use the aliens. The aliens' plan is to use humanity as a food source. Okay. And also that they're going to take... What are you doing?
Sniffing the air. This smells really familiar. 1984, NBC, a little show called V?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's not like the first time aliens have, wanted to devour humans. I guess they either want our water or they want to eat us. It's like they...
Or both.
Or both, sometimes, because I guess we must be really tasty. I don't know. The thing is, they're also planning to enslave the mutants that are, part of the human population, because the mutants all have this property in their DNA that is called M-base, which apparently is something that they can use to take over and control the mutants, which is something that Ozaki does not have, because of course he doesn't. X has the monsters placed under his control because their DNA also has this M-base in it. Okay. And he brings Gigon out of his mummified state so that they can all attack the EDF and destroy everything. So the good guys manage to get away from this, although Gigon chases after them. And the guy that we saw at the beginning of the movie, Captain Gordon, he has the idea that they should go to the Antarctic and get Godzilla, who doesn't have this M-base gene in him, so the aliens can't control him, and they'll sick him on the other monsters, and he'll win because he's Godzilla. So they get into the so that's the plan. So they get up to Antarctica, they free Godzilla, and they use the Gotengo to get Godzilla to come back with them, and Godzilla kicks all the other monsters' ass because it's Godzilla and it's his film series.
I need to ask you to rephrase that description.
What?
Up to Antarctica. Antarctica is down.
Over. Whatever. You know what I mean. They head off to Antarctica, free Godzilla, bring him back, and Godzilla, who's, been trapped under the ice for a long-ass time and is spoiling for a fight, kicks everybody's butt because, as I mentioned, it's his film series. And so they head back to Tokyo now it's like, now we're going to deal with the aliens. So our heroes make it into the mothership, but they wind up getting caught, and they're brought before the evil leader, as he brings Gorath to Earth, as it turns out. Godzilla, as it turns out, Gorath is actually real. It does exist, but the hologram thing, that was not, it was like, that was part of the plan, but there really is a Gorath as well. Godzilla winds up destroying Gorath before it crashes, because it's not an actual, I don't think, if I remember right, it wasn't an actual planet. It was smaller than a planet. It wouldn't have actually destroyed Earth if it hit it, I don't think. But as it turns out, there was something actually in Gorath, and that was Monster X, also known as Kaiser Ghidorah. Because it sounds more threatening. I guess, because calling him badass mofo Ghidorah probably would have got them in a lot of trouble with the censors. I don't know. And, of course, the second Godzilla and Ghidorah clap eyes on each other, the fight's on like Donkey Kong. So, Gigan, now remember, Gigan is a cyborg, so he can be like, the aliens update his cybernetic workings and all his sharp bits. And well, he's got these big hook hands and like the buzzsaw in the center of his chest and all the hacky slashy parts. And they update his workings and all that, so he'll be even more deadly. And he's sent out to help Kaiser Ghidorah, but he winds up being attacked by Mothra, who is severely injured, but manages to destroy Gigan, because Mothra is awesome. Back in the alien spaceship, X reveals that he and Ozaki are actually superior forms of evolution known as Kaisers, which are beings that are even more rare than mutants, that basically happen when human DNA and M-based DNA are combined, and then you wind up with this super being. And because X knew that and has honed his mental powers and stuff like that, he's able to take over Ozaki's mind and have him fight against his comrades at first. They wind up this big fight, and he's fighting his friends even though he doesn't want to, and all this stuff like that. X winds up losing his mental hold over Ozaki because of the intervention of the Shobijin, who cast a blessing/spell, and that frees Ozaki from X's control.
When were they able to do that? That's new. I don't remember them ever doing that in any other Mothra appearance. Well, okay, all right.
Yeah, but can I bring up something? I mean, I do love these movies with all my heart and soul, but I will be the first to admit that on occasion it's like, oh, you didn't have that power in the last movie.
We've had a whole week of those, anyway.
Well, we have it now. And they're little tiny fairies. They're magical.
Oh,
what do you want?
Okay.
No, that's, I get.
Chill.
F you, it's magic, as we used to say in our D&D campaigns. X winds up being wounded. As it turns out, it's fatal. But before he dies, because he's the bad guy, and they always do crap like this because they're jerks, he hits the self-destruct mechanism in the ship, because all the evil bad guys' ships have these things. And the group of heroes manages to get out and fall to the Gatango. I mean, literally right before the mothership goes kablam. We get another Titanic smackdown between Godzilla and Kaiser Ghidorah. Actually, but at this point, he's still referred to as Monster X. Now, at this point in the film, he changes into Kaiser Ghidorah. He evolves again and becomes even more powerful because somebody watched too many episodes of Pokemon? I don't know. So the fight...
Hey, I'd like a Pokemon that's as strong as Ghidorah. You'd beat everybody in the arena for sure. Anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Gyarados can kiss my ass. Kaiser Ghidorah winds up kicking Godzilla's ass a little more than usual, but Godzilla manages to win and destroy him at the end of the fight. Now, the problem is everybody's like, oh my gosh, the fight's over, yay. Oh, crap, now he's looking at us. You know, Godzilla's kind of looking down at the Gotengo like, you did this. You know, this is all your fault. All of this. You know, that kind of attitude that Godzilla tends to have toward humanity. As it turns out, though, the humans have an ally they didn't realize they had in Minya, who manages to convince Godzilla not to go on another rampage and, you know, kick the living crap out of humanity. Again. And Godzilla listens to Minya, and they both just turn around and leave. They just walk back into the ocean peacefully and walk back out into, you know, into the setting sun.
Dive off into the sunset.
Well, yeah.
Happy trails to you until we meet again.
Stop it.
What?
Quit it. And that's the end of the movie.
Okay.
Which got thundering applause in the theater,
Yeah.
I'd like to add.
Let's talk about... I want to bring up three things. Number one,
Okay.
let's explain what happened when Godzilla and Zilla first met on screen. There was an enormous ripple of outlandish, hysterical laughter on the part of the audience here. Zilla was not a favorite of this group.
Oh, no.
Because Roland Emmerich didn't really know what he was doing. I mean, he admits he set out to change the Godzilla formula, and that's not what Godzilla fans wanted.
He said, I want to change the formula of Godzilla. I want to reinvent Godzilla. And the Godzilla fans said, cram it up your ass, Roland. We know what we want.
So that battle was pretty funny.
It was also really short.
Yeah, it only lasted like 20.
I mean, I think
seconds,
the fight.
Not even a minute.
I think the fight that Goldberg and Brock Lesnar had was longer. You know, seriously, I'm not kidding around. I mean, it was short.
Second,
satisfying but short.
This movie actually had an international name star in the lead. Kane Kosugi has become a big star around the world for action films. Mostly martial arts stuff, following his father's show's footsteps. Mm-hmm. He was the first big name that Western audiences recognized as a Japanese actor to star in one of these films. And I mean, that was one of the things that helped draw me in, because I'd been a fan of him since he was like 6 years old when he made his very first acting appearance in his episode of the Lee Van Cleef series, The Master, way back in the 1980s. Mm-hmm. And so that was funny. The other thing, I'm sorry, you're sitting over here asking me why I'm laughing. Now, you honestly cannot figure out why I am laughing.
Oh, I can think of a whole bunch of reasons why you're laughing.
But what's the most obvious reason why I would laugh at the commander named X? What's the most obvious reason?
Please tell me you're not sitting there making Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood jokes in your head. You were. You are so predictable.
No, actually, I'm sitting here thinking of the dialogue going on between X and his second, Lieutenant Commander H.P. Cat.
Oh, stop it. Just stop it. Just
Why would Meow want to meow the world with that?
Hey, I can't help Mr. Rogers is back on everybody's minds thanks to the documentary last year and the upcoming Tom Hanks film.
And anybody out there who's listening to this with blank looks on their faces, go ask your parents.
Or pull up an episode on Amazon Prime. Anyway.
Oh, man.
Wow. I just... what?
No, it's...
You had to know that's where I was going.
I absolutely knew where you were going, and I'm sitting there going, please no, please no, please
I also want to point out that the music for this film was done for the first time with an American, or actually British import. Keith Emerson of Emerson, Lake and Palmer worked with Nobuhiko, I hope that's right, Morino, and Daisuke Yano. And the song We're All to Blame by the Canadian rock band Sum 41 was played during the Godzilla and Zilla battle and received credit in the opening credits.
Yep.
Which I thought was pretty cool. I think we're sitting here making fun of it, but you know, it was made for the fans.
Yes.
It was made to be a fun final romp. They had already announced this was the final Godzilla film that Toho would be making. Of course, it wouldn't be, but it at the time
it was the final film for 12 years.
Yeah, and it went out with a bang. A very, very happy audience.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, this is, again, one of those films where the critics absolutely have no idea what they're talking about. Many of the critics absolutely hated it, including our wonderful Ty Burr of the Boston Globe, who said he gave it 1.5 stars out of 5, saying it focused too much on action and not enough a story, and said it ran, quote, 35 minutes longer than necessary, close quote.
Well,
Ty's also the one that gives away endings of shock films in his reviews.
Yeah, if Ty doesn't like a film, he gives away the ending, the big, like, twist ending.
Not always, but...
Which, not always, but he did that to The Mist, and that was a dick move.
Watch your mouth. That was something that, he got lots of email about that, too, I'm sure.
He deserved it.
But most of the people who have always loved Godzilla love this film. It finished number 3 on Watch Mojo's list of best Godzilla films of all time. Mm-hmm. And it was Watch Mojo, for those of you who don't know, watchmojo.com, one of the coolest list programs on the internet, and we've been subscribers for 5 or 6 years now and love watching their stuff.
It was such a fun movie. It was a great audience to see it with. Like we mentioned, this was the first time. It was
an audience filled with G fans.
Yep. This was the first time we'd ever been to the Brattle in Cambridge. We sat up in the balcony.
Yeah, Brattle has only 240 seats, so it
had a great time. Had a great time.
And it was. Coming up on our next program, we are going to jump shores to the next Godzilla film. It was 12 years later. No, it was 10 years later. And would become a financial blast. I mean, it's sad that Final Wars flopped in Japan. It did not do well at all.
I don't get that, yeah.
It was the lowest grossing film of all the entire Godzilla films except the Mechagodzilla film from the 70s. And that's sad because it's truly a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Tomorrow, as I said, we're going to go to 2014 and an American adaptation that had Toho's blessing again. This time, the creative team knew what they were doing.
Yep.
They actually did not try to change Godzilla for what they wanted to do. They wanted to bring Godzilla, the big G, to American audiences in a way he'd never been done before, and we accomplished that in 2014's Gareth Edwards film, Godzilla, and we will talk about that tomorrow. When you're watching or listening to anything we do on PNRNetworks, that includes this great mini-series we're doing with Subject Cinema, eCinemaOne.com, and Kim's show, Kaiju Corner, which is all kaiju all the time. Remember that we cannot do this alone. We need your help, and we appreciate everything you do for us. And one of the things you can do for us is join our Patreon. Becoming a patron at $5 a month or more will get you 3 additional podcasts that are available only to Patreon subscribers, including the aforementioned Kaiju Corner, as well as Subject Cinema's Film Flash and Subject Cinema's Freeze Frame. Plus, as you go up, there's tons of other cool perks we have for you. And the more you get, the better you come in, the more we can get in, the better we can perform for you and bring you all kinds of great stuff. We'd like to do so much more that we can't afford to do without your help. So please join us at patreon.com/PNRNetworks. And don't forget to support us the other ways, too, on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Pass those on to your friends. Retweet them, repost them, and let people know we're out here. Yep. Tell all your Godzilla fan friends that we're here with this series. You can even tell them about the Avengers series we did last month.
We hope
and it'll be a lot of fun. And tomorrow, we take on the American version, 2014's Godzilla. Until then, for the Big G Tokyo Town StompDown, I'm TC Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
We are almost there, folks.
So excited!
You've been listening to the Big G Tokyo Town StompDown from Subject Cinema, Kaiju Corner, and eCinemaOne.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.